Okay, we just need access to that. Okay. Hi, my name is Mallory Webb. For my professional development lesson plan, we're going to be discussing how we lay the foundation for introducing research skills in kindergarten. We're going to take a look at how our youngest learners can conduct research. And my mom is a transitional kindergarten teacher, and she has graciously volunteered to be my lovely assistant today. So she will be joining us for the lesson plan. So, our goals for our learning today are what are age appropriate research skills that we teach in kindergarten, and how can our library lessons support curiosity, questioning, and information gathering. So that's what we're going to be talking about today.
Okay.
So, when you hear the word research, what comes to mind?
Well, research means different things to different people. As a student, it means finding trustworthy resources and putting together a project. In college, it means reading research papers and writing multiple pages on what you have learned. As a kindergarten teacher, research is about exploring. Research is like a treasure hunt as we search for our answer. Research in our early years means using our five senses to look closely with our eyes, listen with our ears, and sometimes even touch things to learn how they work. Research is asking questions, looking in books, and maybe even talking with experts.
That was a fantastic answer, Mom. So yeah, as you said, research in kindergarten is about building strong thinkers who are curious about the world around them, through a lot of our five senses, through touching and feeling things, and exploring. So, what does research look like in kindergarten? The research in kindergarten looks like asking a variety of questions. Young children are naturally curious about the world around them. They want to know how things work and how they function in their lives. When a child asks a question, they are connecting what they already know to something that's brand new. It's like building a bridge. So the why helps them understand how the world works, and the how helps them learn to solve problems on their own. Asking questions helps to grow a student's vocabulary. We Another way to use research in kindergarten is through making observations using pictures. Students are picture detectives. Making an observation about a picture can help students focus as they notice minute details. They can also find the answers to a question that they might have by using a picture. Another way that we use research in kindergarten is by identifying previous knowledge, knowledge that we hope to gain, and knowledge that we have learned. So when we begin to research, the first thing that we identify is what we already know about the topic. So think about like building a tower of blocks. We need a strong foundation, right? So identifying prior and previous knowledge does exactly that. When we activate our prior knowledge, we're helping to build confidence. A student realizes, hey, I already know that this animal has stripes. They might feel like an expert, and they're ready to learn some more. And it can also help clear up some muddles. Sometimes we think we know something that might be a little bit wrong. This is our chance to quickly fix those ideas before we add any new ones. We also want to identify what we hope to gain. This is where that why comes in. When we ask the students, what do you want to know? We're giving our brains a job, a mission to do. When a student has a specific question, like how do bees make honey, their brain becomes like a magnet waiting to stick to that answer when they hear it and they're focused on that. And it helps keep them focused. Instead of just looking at pictures, we're now information detectives. We're hunting for something very specific that we want to learn about. And then lastly, we're identifying the knowledge that we have learned. This is my favorite part personally because we can see how far the students have grown. It proves that we're growing. Seeing the learned list get longer and longer shows that a student that they're becoming a powerful learner. They're absorbing all the material that they're taking in. It also starts a new cycle. Often, when we what we learn can lead to even more questions. A learned fact about honey might be lead to something new that they want to learn about, like where do the bees go in the wintertime? Because they've noticed that bees aren't there in the winter. They're like, well, where do they go? We also orally share our thoughts. We discuss with each other, and we might even draw pictures when conducting research. So the next slide. So, how is research taught in the library? Research taught in the library, specifically at the kindergarten level, focuses a lot on interactive read alouds and on guided discussions. Those interactive read alouds are going to be about things that you are learning in the classroom. That way, it's connecting to the curriculum. So, you might be learning about community helpers, and a book that we could read would be Keeping You Safe. Okay, so this is a book about police officers. So, students, we might read through this book and we can observe the things that police officers do, such as coming when they call 911. They can teach us to be safe around strangers. Right, we can observe that sometimes police officers are on the street, so sometimes they're in the car. Some police officers have partners. Their partner might be human, or it might even be a dog. Right? So these are some observations that the students might make as they're going through a community helper story. You do a lot of plants, and kindergarten plants are actually coming up very soon. And so, with your plant unit, you might read a book like this called From Bulb to Daffodil, which is going to teach students about how the little bulb of the flower turns into the plant. So, students might look at this book and they might notice things about the bulb. They might say, "Oh wow, this bulb has really long roots, and they're squiggly. I mean, not every single one is the same length." They might notice or make an observation that the bulb kind of looks like an artichoke. It's got the same little shape without the little spikes. Okay, so these are some observations that Tom might make about this book. You could also read a narrative nonfiction book, such as Up in the Garden and Down in the Dirt, which this book is actually in the kindergarten curriculum. And this book takes more of a narrative story. It follows a grandma and a grandchild as they make observations about things that are down in the dirt, such as little bugs, and they take notice of the things that are happening above. So, this could also be really great for research in the library. Our last example is When the Sky Glows. This one talks about all different kinds of weather that produce light. So, weather and light are both kindergarten topics in science. And so, this could be a great story for interactive read alouds and for guided discussions. Um, students are always very interested in rainbows. Right? So, you can have a guided discussion about how rainbows are formed. And about why they're important and things like that. Okay, using this book, which is also a narrative story. And then this one's cool because this one shows an eclipse, which we had a couple years ago. So if your students remember that, this could be a great connection to a real world experience that they have had. So a lot of research in kindergarten is connecting to the things that you're doing in the classroom with different read alouds and then different guided discussions to share their thoughts. So, we're going to take a look at what research in kindergarten might look like in the classroom or in the library. And so, to do that, we're going to take a look at what's called a KWL plus chart. And a KWL chart, KWL plus chart is really great because it engages students as they're learning. It gives them a way to focus their instruction. So the first part of the KWL chart is, what do you already know? So we're engaging students in a discussion about things that they might already know about a topic. So our topic for today is going to be firefighters. And let me get the file picture. Oh. Oh, existing image. So you can see, but I pulled up the KWL Plus chart on my iPad that we have for school with our interactive pin. And so when we get to our KWL Plus chart, this is a really great activity that you can do whole group with students. You can also do it in small groups. So RK is what we already know. So what are some things that a kindergartner might already know about firefighters?
That they put out fires.
Hmm? What else?
That they drive in a fire truck.
Hmm? Anything else?
They help people.
Awesome. Excellent. So we've identified things that we already know about firefighters, and we have put it in our K part. So after we've identified what we already know, we then identify things that we might want to learn about. So what might you think would be something that a kindergartner might want to learn about a firefighter?
What do they have on the mask? What's the mask for?
Mhm. What is the mask for? That's a great question. Any other things they might want to learn about?
Will I be scared if I see them?
Mm. Because it could be scary when they've got all that equipment on.
Yes.
Any other things they might wonder about?
How tall do the ladders go?
Ooh, that's a good question. Some buildings are really tall, and we would like to know if they can reach all the way up. So we filled out our K and our W part. So after we have identified our K and our W, that's then when we would go into our guided read aloud. And our story today is called Firefighters to the Rescue, and this is by R.W. Alley. It's a super breezy morning in Breezy Valley. A fresh crew of firefighters hurries to switch with yesterday's crew. Each firefighter crew lives at the firehouse for a day and a night. So does that mean they sleep there?
It does.
So they don't get to go home to their families every day. Sometimes they sleep at the firehouse. The first thing the firefighters do is swap their street clothes for uniforms. Then they open their duty lockers where they keep their turnout gear. It super protects them in fires. They each have two sets. They set up the gear in a special way, boots tucked into pants, suspenders ready for pulling on quick as a wink, coats and helmet nearby. Why do you think they have to set it up in a certain way?
I guess so they get it on the right way when they're going to a fire.
Hmm. Is it important that they get it on really fast?
Yes.
Why is it important that they put it on really fast?
They have to get to that house that's burning, and they have to get there really fast so they can help.
Yeah. Chief Piggy is in charge. When the crew is ready, she reads out her checklist. Everyone has a job to do. So they don't just get to hang around, they have work. Officer Puffin answers 911 calls and fire alarms in the engine dispatch center. Officer Gaynor needles the bunk room. Down in the engine bay, Officer Fox polishes the pumper engine and straightens the hoses. Officer Rabbit greases the ladder, slides on the ladder engine. So there's their turnout gear. You can see down there, they've got it ready in case there's an emergency. Officer Toad makes snacks in the kitchen in case the crew needs to munch on the run. Officer Bear checks the shovels and picks on the brush breaker truck. Chief Piggy makes sure everyone's turnout gear is ready at the vehicle they will ride on. Every second counts. And you can see here the very famous firefighter pole. So they can jump down from the top to the bottom. Suddenly, whoop, 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 there's trouble on Ripple Rock Ridge. Officer Puffin grabs the headset and sounds the alarm. Bring, bring, bring! The officers scramble into their turnout gear. It weighs 45 pounds. This is their official turnout gear that they have. The helmet, flashlight, radios, different tools, a snack, very important, an axe, maybe if somebody's stuck, they have to hack their way through. Their pants with knee pads, another flashlight, suspenders, steel-toed boots, some woolly socks, a knife, a tool belt, fireproof gloves, waterproof gloves, an eye guard visor, a door chock, and a very hard helmet. So they have a whole lot of stuff that they have to carry with them when they leave. Hit the lights, blast the sirens, firefighters to the rescue. Bronk, whoop whoop, woot hoot. Bronk, bronk, bronk. The pumper engine leads the way. Wee-oo, wee-oo, wee-oo. Then comes the ladder engine. Then we can see the inside and the outside of the pumper engine. And then the inside and outside of the ladder engine. So only one truck has a ladder. But both are important. Then comes the brush breaker truck. Everyone gets out of the way. The firefighters zip and zoom, twisting and turning through breezy valley. And this is the inside and outside of the brush breaker truck. It looks like this is the one that carries the water. If they need, and they can't get to a fire hydrant. And here we have their map of where they go. They travel all the way around town to get where they need to. The Tabby twins are perilously perched. The firefighters know what to do. Up slides the engine ladder. Up scampers officers Toad, Rabbit, and Fox. Officer Gator works the controls. Down come the Tabby twins, safe and sound. He says, "You're breathing my air." I am not. So they're arguing a little bit. He says, "They're charming, kiddos." Yep, they're powerful. Then this guy says, "Officer Puffin, please tell Mama Tabby Kitty that her kittens are ready for pickup." You knew just what to do. That's our job. Says, "My darlings, I was rescued first. We're not." And he's like, "Excuse me." "Great scoops! I forgot to turn off the waffle cone wafflenator." "Not the wafflenator! Fire!" Officers Rabbit, Bear, and Gator strap into their breathing gear. It weighs 30 pounds. So earlier we had a question about the mask, and now we can see what the gas is for. Mask is for. So it's an official self-contained breathing apparatus, or SCBA for short. So this is for when there's gas. They've got a helmet, the air tanks, and an axe, and there's the mask to help control the airflow. Chief Piggy and Officers Fox and Toad hook up the hoses between the fire hydrant and the pumper engine. There's their spray nozzle and their fire hydrant. The water gets pumped really fast from outside the engine. Then all the underground pipes will connect to the fire hydrant. That way they can put out the fire. First from up high, Chief Piggy soaks Big Scoop with the Dolge cannon. Then Officer Gator chops a hole in the roof above the hottest spot of the fire. The smoke blows up and out. Officers Bear and Rabbit run hose lines from below and blast the flames with a combo mix of water and foam. Officer Fox watches for flying sparks. The firefighters crawl and poke with their irons. They douse every pocket of smoke. Big Scoop is sopping wet, but the firefighters stay dry in their turnout gear. At last, the kitchen fire puffs out. But, oh no! Blown by the breeze, a hot red ember sparks the tall grass in the meadow next door. And so the fire goes all the way over there. So where it gets in the grass. What do you think's going to happen to the grass?
Think it's going to catch on fire.
Probably. Let's see. Chief Piggy drives the brush breaker truck deep into the meadow. It has its own water tank. The firefighters surround the fire. Officer Toad uses a special weeping hose that goes through fire without burning up. So if I got it from this side, I've got it from here. We've got it surrounded. Officers Fox and Rabbit scrape away the dry meadow grass so the flames can't jump and spread. They smother stray embers with dirt. After the fires have fizzled out, the firefighters overhaul the scene for hot spots. Then they roll up the hoses and twist shut the fire hydrant. Lion wants to thank them with cold, cool coconut surprise, but it's all melted. Then Penguin has a wonderfully good idea. Ice cream soup. It says thanks. And that's what we do. Back at the Breezy Valley Firehouse, there's more to do. The firefighters put their smoky turnout gear in the wash. They scrub the soot and muck off the engines and truck. Exhaust removal hoses go on the tailpipes for when the motors run inside the building. They roll out the fire hoses to drain and dry. Finally, and most importantly, the firefighters set up their second set of turnout gear. Everything must be ready for the next alarm. Now the firefighters can scrub themselves. Taking a bath. The officers put on fresh uniforms. Officer Rabbit challenges Officer Puffin to checkers. Officer Bear needs some quiet book time in the bunk room. Officer Toad whips up some more snacks, even though they're all pretty full from coconut surprise soup. But before anyone can take a bite, whoop whoop whoop, Officer Puffin grabs the microphone and sounds the alarm. Car crash on the fairgrounds road. Bring, bring, bring. The officers scramble into their fresh turnout gear and on to their clean engines and trucks. Hit the lights, blast the sirens, firefighters to the rescue. We're on our way. Wee-oo, wee-oo, wee-oo. Join the crew. I think this is just an entertaining page. Oh, and it has a quiz in the back. Okay, so a firefighter's job is very busy, huh?
It is.
They have a lot to do. So, After reading our story and discussing with the students, what we would do next is we would complete the L part of our KWL plus chart, which is what did you learn? So, what are some things that you learned about firefighters from our story?
We learned that they have one big ladder truck. And they have a pumper truck where the water is stored.
Awesome. Anything else you learned?
We also learned that they have to get their uniform all set up in order for when there's a fire.
So, we have completed our L for what we learned about the firefighters. Right. So, in the classroom, you can ask a variety of students, things that they learn, because every student's going to learn something different. And the last section of our KWL plus chart is the what do you still have questions about? Because not every time is the story going to answer. Like we answered what was the mask for? That was in the story. But will I be scared if I see them? That wasn't answered. But like we discussed earlier too, you also could come up with a new question based on things that were in the story that you maybe wonder about. So, are there any lingering questions that you have about firefighters?
Um, did all I it didn't really show us, did all three of those fire trucks fit in the fire engine building?
That's a good question. Maybe they don't all fit. They have to take turns.
Maybe.
Maybe. All right. Are there any other lingering questions?
I wonder if they spend the night there and then when they're not spending a night there, I guess, does another firefighter stay in the bed that they were in? Do they share beds while they're not there?
Excellent question. So here's our plus. All right. So I'm going to introduce you to Pebble Go. Pebble Go is a really good resource because it has a whole bunch of different things that students can learn about, a large variety of topics. And it has videos, which the kids love. So if you go to the library digital resources, and then you can click on Pebble Go. And in kindergarten, we use Pebble Go. We don't use Pebble Go Next. That one is for the older kids. So there's all different topics to learn about. You can learn about animals or biographies or health, science or social studies. For today, we're gonna look at social studies. Turn that down. And There's all different social studies topics to look at, but we're going to be looking at jobs in the community, since that is our learning topic. So there's all different jobs that a person can have in the community. So I'm going to let you have it for a second to look through and find a job in the community that looks interesting to you that you might want to learn about.
Ooh, how about veterinarians?
That sounds like a great choice.
So I should click on it?
Yes, you can click on veterinarian. Alright, so now that we've identified our topic that we want to learn about, or that you want to learn about, you're gonna go through your own KWL plus chart on your own. So the first thing we do is we're gonna do the K part, which is what do you already know? Hold on. It's okay. It's finicky.
That vets take care of animals. Vets are doctors for animals. There are large animal vets and small animal vets.
It sounds like you already know quite a bit about vets.
Do know a little bit about vets.
Okay, so after we figure out what we already know, then we're gonna identify what we want to learn. So what's something you might want to learn about being a veterinarian?
How do you become a vet? How much money does a vet make? Do all vets get to work with all different kinds of animals?
Awesome. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna go back on PebbleGo, and we're going to learn about the vets. And what's nice about PebbleGo, especially for our kinder friends, is if you push the play button, it will read it to you.
Nice.
So you don't actually have to read it, especially for our kinder friends who aren't able to read yet. So we can learn about vets now. And then if we go up here, it goes to the next to learn about that topic. What's cool too is if you click on this, you can get the definition. A student might know what a stethoscope is, but maybe they don't know what it's for.
So if it's highlighted, then that is when they can click on it and learn what it is.
Yes. These are like our vocabulary words. Kinds of veterinarians. And then you can, these are articles that are similar. And what's cool is also they have a little video too that the kids like to watch. So the kids can see kind of more what a vet does, even if they don't have a pet. So cute. So now that we've done our K and our W, and we've learned about vets, now we do our L part, which is what did you learn? So what's something that you learned about veterinarians from Pebble Go?
We learned this question I asked, do all vets get to work with all different kinds of animals? And we learned that vets work with specific animals. There are some vets that work at the zoo and some vets that work at the farm and some vets that work at the veterinary hospital.
Excellent. So a vet can choose what animal they want to work with.
Yeah.
Kind of like how a doctor can choose what kind of medicine they want to study. If they want to work with kids or if they want to work with grown-ups.
And then we learned that doctors on the farm wear different clothing than doctors inside a vet office. The vet office wears the off-white coat and the farm vet wears boots and overalls.
Different place, different needs.
Yes. We learned what a stethoscope does when they are helping, the veterinarian is helping an animal when the animal's sick and gets a checkup.
And if you were a kid and you were writing that down, I might ask you, well, what does a stethoscope do? Just to show that they actually understood it and are able to comprehend what they learned. Okay, so we've done our L part, and then the last part is what questions do you still have about that? Are there any lingering questions that you have about veterinarians?
I think kids might want to know what, like the vets at the zoo, like what do they do with the big animals? Because kids are usually around little animals. So how do they take care of the bigger animals? Is that the same or different?
That's a great question. They might have a different policy. Because at the zoo they have lions and things. And it could be scary for a vet to work with such a big animal.
It could.
I would be scared, personally. I don't want to be near a lion. All right. Any other lingering questions?
I think if a kid does not have a pet, they just might wonder what it's like inside a veterinary office. Like is it like when you go to your own doctor
Mm,
and get an appointment? The child might have a question on how that works for an animal.
yeah. Awesome. I'm going to show all our hard work to our viewer.
Okay.
This is my mom's beautiful handwriting. It's our first time using an Apple Pencil, but I think you did great.
Thank you.
All right. So in a classroom, once they finish their chart, you could then have them share. They could discuss with their table mates what they learned about. Maybe if they did the same animal, they had maybe some of the same questions, and they could discuss. Since it's only we've already shared, so I'm not gonna make you share with anybody because there's nobody to share with. All right. So, our classroom goal for our professional development today is for us to be able to reinforce the use of guiding questions and research skills through the use of independent study and KWL charts. Because Pebble Go it reads to the students, they're able to do a lot of this independently. And even if they're not able to write in words on their KWL Plus chart, they can use pictures, and then we can go back and meet with them and put underneath what the picture is to help us. And our other goal is to utilize using a KWL Plus chart 3 times over the next 9 weeks in order to strengthen student research skills. So every couple of weeks, pull out a KWL chart and see what the students can do. So our conclusion, research in kindergarten is shown through the use of guiding questions and asking questions. Research is about curiosity. Students can conduct research with the assistance of a KWL plus chart. So research in kindergarten is turning the I don't know into an I can find out scenario. And the most important thing that they're learning is independence. Instead of always waiting for a grown up to give them the answer, they're learning tools that they can use to go and find out the answer on themselves. It's kind of building that can do attitude. Like, hey, I can do this on my own. I don't need to just wait for somebody. We're also teaching them fact finding skills instead of just guessing. We're showing them a way that they can get their answer that they need by observing and finding evidence. Um, and then last, we're also boosting their language and vocabulary, right? As they're researching, they're learning new vocabulary words. Today we learned about stethoscope. So students are being exposed to new vocabulary words that they might not have previous experience with. And then lastly, research is feeding their natural curiosity. Kids naturally ask why. That's a 2-year-old's favorite word. Why? Why? They're always asking why. Research gives those whys a home. It gives them a purpose. By teaching the kids how to research, we are telling them that their curiosity is a gift and it's important. We're not just filling their heads with facts, we're teaching them how to learn for the rest of their lives. 'Cause we're always researching. Every time we go on Google to look up something that we're curious about, we're researching in an informal setting. So, some extension ideas, things that you could do in your classroom. So, when you come to a new unit of study, like our upcoming unit on plants, you can engage students in using a KWL plus chart about the plants, seeing what they already know, what they are curious about, and then as you're going through and getting to the end, identifying what they've learned and then what they still have questions about. Because we're not going to be able to touch everything in plants in kindergarten. It's just not possible. So you can just highlight the big ideas. But K2L plus chart is a really great way to show growth throughout the curriculum unit. You can also create a wonder wall. This is an example of a wonder wall that you might see in a classroom. where students are coming and they're using just little sticky notes to identify things that they're curious about. So this could be anything, right? It could be something related to the unit of study, or it could just be maybe they're wondering about something they saw on television. Um, and that wonder wall then could be a great way to challenge students to do independent research. Be like, hey, you have this question, let's go find out more information about it. You could even do a reading lesson about a topic, a wonder. Maybe a bunch of them have a wonder about the same thing. You could do wonders about that. So the wonder wall's a really great way for students to express their curiosity. So our exit ticket today. How can using a KWL chart and guided questioning impact student research habits?
Well, using a KWL chart alongside guided questioning is really like giving our little explorers a pair of magic glasses for their brains. When we start with that K column to talk about what they already know, it builds so much confidence because they realize they are already experts in some way. Then, when we move into guided questioning for the W, the what we want to know, we're teaching them the habit of intentionally, instead of just flipping through a book for the pictures, they are now information detectives on a specific mission. The guided questions are so important here because they model how to move past simple yes or no thoughts into those big, juicy how and why questions. Finally, filling out that L for what we learned teaches them that research has a wonderful reward. It turns I don't know into I can find out. And that's a habit that stays with them forever. It truly transforms their curiosity into a real organized skill.
Excellent. Well, it sounds like you learned a lot about research in kindergarten today, huh?
I did.
All right. Well, thank you for your time. We appreciate it.
You're welcome.